Imagine walking across open desert at midday with the sun directly overhead and nowhere to hide from it. There's no shade for miles, no water in sight. The ground itself is too hot to sit on, and the air feels like it's pressing down on your skin from every direction. Your mouth is dry, your head is pounding. And somewhere behind you, days back, was the last place you remember finding water. Today, this kind of heat is an inconvenience. You step into air conditioning, crack open a cold bottle, and complain about the walk from your car. For most of human history, this same heat was a direct, immediate threat to your life. Hypothermia can begin setting in within hours, and once your body's cooling system starts failing, there is no coming back from it on your own. And yet, somehow, humans didn't just survive in some of the hottest places on Earth. They thrived there for tens of thousands of years, using tools your body still carries today, and inventions buried in the sand that took scientists decades to even find. The first weapon against extreme heat wasn't a tool at all. It was your own skin. Humans have somewhere between 2 and 4 million sweat glands, specifically the eccrine type, spread across nearly our entire body. No other mammal on Earth comes close to that number. Most animals cool down through panting or through sweating only on small, specific patches of skin like paws or noses. Harvard researcher Daniel Lieberman has spent years studying this exact adaptation, and his research points to something remarkable. This sweating system may be the single biggest reason humans became such effective hunters in blistering heat. Here's why that matters. Most large animals, antelope, horses, big cats, overheat quickly when forced to run for extended periods. They have to stop, find shade, and cool down before they can continue. Humans don't have that problem, at least not nearly as badly. Our sweat glands let us shed heat continuously, even while moving. This gave rise to something researchers call persistence hunting, a technique still practiced today by the San people of the Kalahari Desert in southern Africa. Instead of chasing an animal at full speed, a hunter tracks it for hours, sometimes even most of a day under the harshest heat of the afternoon sun, on purpose. The prey animal runs, overheats, and is forced to stop and rest. The human keeps walking, sweating the entire time, tracking footprints in the sand. Eventually, the animal simply can't recover fast enough anymore. Its body temperature climbs to a dangerous level and it collapses, completely exhausted, while the hunter is still walking. In other words, ancient humans didn't just endure the worst heat of the day. Some of them deliberately hunted during it, using heat itself as a weapon that worked in their favor and not their praise. But sweating that much comes with an obvious cost. You lose an enormous amount of water, and in a desert, water might not be waiting for you anywhere nearby. So ancient humans engineered a solution, and it's one of the oldest pieces of technology we've ever found. At a site called Deep Kloof Rock Shelter in South Africa, archaeologists uncovered ostrich eggshell fragments dating back 60,000 years, engraved with deliberate repeating geometric patterns. These weren't just decorations. Ostrich eggshells, once emptied and cleaned, make remarkably effective water canteens, and the engravings likely marked ownership or identified which group a container belonged to. A single ostrich egg holds roughly the equivalent of 24 chicken eggs in volume, more than enough space to carry a meaningful water supply across a long, dry journey. Communities in the Kalahari still use this exact method today. A small hole is punched in the shell, the contents are removed and eaten, and the shell is refilled with water and sealed again, often with beeswax. And here's the part that made archaeologists pay even closer attention. Some of these water-filled eggshells weren't carried on the body at all. They were buried deliberately under the sand at specific known locations. a hidden cache of water left behind for a future journey, sometimes recovered weeks or months later, exactly where it had been left. This wasn't guesswork. It was a system, planned in advance and trusted completely. Alongside these buried canteens, some groups also used a method called sip wells, where a hollow reed is pushed deep into damp sand, allowing someone to draw underground moisture straight up through it like a straw. Between deliberately overheating prey animals and secretly caching water underground, individual survival in extreme heat clearly wasn't left to chance. It was planned, tested, and passed down. But heat doesn't just threaten individual people. Under the wrong conditions, it can bring down an entire civilization at once. Around 2200 BCE, a sudden severe climate shift, now called the 4.2 kilo-year event, caused decades of extreme heat and drought across a huge stretch of the ancient world. In northern Mesopotamia, archaeologists excavating a site called Tel Leilan found something striking: a sharp, sudden decline in agricultural activity, followed by nearly complete abandonment. Animal remains at the site tell the story clearly. Sheep and cattle skeletons show signs of extreme malnutrition consistent with prolonged, severe drought conditions. Historian and archaeologist Harvey Weiss, who led major excavations there, found evidence that as many as 28,000 people may have left the region entirely, likely searching for any land that could still support them. This collapse lined up almost exactly with the decline of the powerful Akkadian Empire, history's first true multi-regional empire, built across what is now Iraq and Syria. The empire depended heavily on rain-fed farmland in its northern territories. When the rain essentially stopped for generations, that entire foundation gave out at once. Nearby, a second major settlement called Tel Brek shrank by roughly 75% during the same period, and refugee populations from drier regions began pushing into areas that were already struggling to feed themselves. The heat and drought didn't just make life difficult. It appears to have quietly ended one of the first great empires in human history. So when we ask how ancient humans survived deadly summer heat, the real answer works on two very different scales at once. On the personal level, it was written directly into human biology. Millions of sweat glands built for exactly this kind of endurance turned into a genuine hunting advantage. It was buried water, hidden with intention under open sand, and a thin hollow reed capable of pulling a drink from ground that looked completely dry. But on the larger scale, heat was also something civilizations quietly lost to when the climate shifted for longer than any single generation could plan around. Your body still carries the same sweat glands that let a hunter outlast an antelope under a blazing afternoon sun tens of thousands of years ago. The only real difference is that today you reach for a bottle of cold water instead of digging one out of the sand, and you rarely have to wonder if it will be enough to get you through the day.